Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Wisemen Say podcast. Ty Fisher alongside Jerald Lucas, Derik Abbott, who is AFK at the moment. Jerald, my friend, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. All things, despite, some personal stuff, but I'm feeling wonderful right now.
Derik has rejoined us with what looks to be an adult beverage. What are you sipping on?
Oh yeah, it's cause for celebration today. Well, Wilfred Nante's birthday, and then as opposed to us needing to give him a gift, he has given us a gift.
Yeah, definitely. It's one to talk about that we are definitely going to get into here in a bit. But first, I think we just want to give another shout out to our fans, right? To our wonderful supporters for supporting the show, no matter what. Again, if you guys missed it, Million Podcasts has labeled us the 45th best soccer podcast on their database, the fourth best Columbus Crew specific podcast. So shout out to the folks over at Million Podcasts. As you see the little badge down at the bottom left hand of your screen. But yeah, welcome back to another show. We're going to be talking Kevin De Bryune, possibly the MLS. We're going to be talking about the Montreal recap. I'm going to be talking the St. Louis City preview, other news around the league, and also the wonderful news that the Crew fans got this morning, as reported by Tom Bogert. But generally, first off, and we'll get Favian Renkel here in about 10 minutes to kind of break this down for us. Fellas, it has been, I would say, brought to our attention that we have Kevin De Bryune, Manchester City midfielder, possibly coming to MLS. Now, when I say the team name that he could possibly be going to, it shouldn't come as a shock, right? Because it's looking like that Inter Miami has the rights has the discovery. I'm sorry, let me get it right. The discovery rights for Kevin De Bryune. Before we get
How?
even into the discovery, and that's a question for Favian when he comes on. Before we even get into the discovery rights thing and how that all works, just general thoughts about Kevin De Bryune to MLS in general. Forget Miami, MLS in general.
I think it's a good move. Yeah, you might see it as like he's, he's already up there in age. But everybody would say, oh well, the MLS is still a retirement league. This is where you go to wind your career down. Maybe it is, maybe it ain't. But it's also one at the same time that it could revitalize a career. And you said forget Inter Miami. Hasn't Kevin been playing soccer longer than Inter Miami's been around?
He's been with Manchester City for quite some time.
And Inter Miami came in what?
Oh,
2016, 2017?
something like that.
So I mean, if you see how long Kevin's been playing soccer, I mean, Jesus Christ, he's been playing longer than Inter Miami. So, that's why I want to know how the hell they got the discovery rights.
I like how they call them discovery rights too, because like they didn't like discover him. In general, like it never like these teams didn't discover these like superstars. Like it's just fun that they call them that overall.
Yeah, I think I think another thing also is when we hear about big name players coming to MLS, right? As I forgot to put this comment, Connor, how are you? It is a good day to be a Crew fan. When you hear about these players, these like high quality players, Kevin De Bryune is very high quality for his age, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you hear about high quality players coming to MLS, you're thinking that as Gerald said, it's a retirement league, right? But I feel like Kevin De Bryune still has a lot more to offer in general than retiring at the ripe age of what is he like 30 something?
I don't know, but I mean,
33.
it's just one of those. It's like, it would be good for MLS, because he brings in all that experience though from the Premier League, right?
Yeah.
And being with one of the top cheating teams in the Premier League. I didn't mean to say that, but going to another cheating team. Damn, why I keep saying it. But I mean, he brings in so much experience, nonetheless, that I think he would have a better, career over here in MLS than Marco Royce.
Oh, I I'd probably
What
say
it?
he'd have a I'd probably say he'd have a better MLS career here in MLS than Olivier Giroud, who hasn't done absolutely anything for
It's a low bar to
LAFC.
clear.
Oh my god! And
There's
I
a
Kevin De
would
low
Bruyne,
say
bar
I
to
would
clear.
say both.
Marco Royce has done more than Olivier Giroud in MLS so far. He's
I
won an
get
MLS. He's
I
won an MLS Cup.
Well, that's
Giroud.
just because LAFC can't get past Columbus. So,
What? Well, I don't know about that, man. We absolutely got rocked in CONCACAF. So I mean,
hey, we were tired.
We weren't even trying.
and that's another thing too, right? You have like Giroud that came over to LAFC. You have Hugo Lloris that came over to LAFC. But what is it about I'm really hoping Favian joins because I really want an answer to this. Do we think now let's put Miami into this picture, okay? Miami has all their DP spots covered. Do we really think that Jordi Alba is going to agree to be a TAM player and KDB occupy that other DP slot? Or do we think that MLS is going to allow Inter Miami another DP spot just so they can sign De Bruyne?
Haven't they been batting around the idea of adding more DP spots, whether it be for the young DP or the I don't know, the regular DP spot? If they ever had a time where they could be like, oh, everyone's going to get another one now. Like it would be this type of scenario with Inter Miami in particular, getting someone first and them
Mhm.
having to figure out a way to do it. Like as much as obviously we're all Columbus Crew fans, we love the Columbus Crew. We were never going to be the one that was able to break through and get them to just announce it when we had to get rid of Lucas because we had to do some maneuvering and they wouldn't let us do what really we should have been able to do. That's
Yeah.
another. But in general, Miami is the one that could get them to finally end up putting that into play. And I mean, it's MLS, so they would do it a quarter of the way through a season. They don't care. And no one's going to stop them from doing it. I'm sure the other teams would absolutely love that. So at the end of the day, I think that's a very real possibility. Or who was it who was at what's it called? LAFC. Who was it LAFC where they were joking that they gave him the private exclusive pass to the country club and all those crazy things in order to take a better or a lower deal than what he came in on. Who who did they just have? It was
Carlos Vela?
no, he was only there for a year. The year that they went to the championship, and I think they lost, right?
Gareth Bale?
Gareth Bale. When Gareth Bale came over, I remember hearing all this stuff how there's no way that this contract had. Mind me, I do not remember if it was a DP spot, but I remember everybody saying they must have gave him all these country club passes and all these things
Yeah,
because
because he was a
he's
golfer.
taking way less money in this whole thing. I just don't see that type of scenario playing out here, I guess is what I'm saying. I think they're going to shoehorn in the fourth DP spot a quarter of the way through the season in order to make it work. If it's legitimate and Miami, you know, wants to do that, I guess. Which why wouldn't they?
Well, I think we can probably get some clearer answers here, right? This guy, this is my guy that I'm about to bring on. This is probably one of the coolest guys in the business that I've ever met. Fabian, I'm giving you some high praise over here, man.
Hey, what's up, guys? You know, I'm so cool. I'm doing this in my car. All right, that's how cool I am.
See,
The next
I gotta
Red
show.
Bull.
I gotta show up the Phantom. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So usually I'm in my house, but I guess some truck came down my street and just took out the fiber for the whole neighborhood. So I'm out in my car with good connection right now. So we got to do it in here.
hey man, anything to make it work, right? I mean,
Right.
and anything to get the news out and whatnot. So, Fabian, you popped in. We're talking about Kevin De Bryune, obviously,
Yeah.
right? The biggest thing is you know, Kevin De Bryune was linked to San Diego at one point in time. He was gaining steam, and now we see that Inter Miami has the discovery rights for Kevin De Bryune now. For those of us who don't know, and I can probably attest that all three of us are still kind of iffy on how this discovery thing works, right? To the best ability, how does discovery rights work within within clubs and players like Miami and KDB?
Wait, hold up. You're not on. I'm not on here to talk Gazdag. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So real quickly, the way discovery rights work is to stop other teams from bidding other MLS teams on a player. They set up the discovery rights process. Whether you like it or not, it's there, right? We used to have a thing called allocation order. That is now a part of the discovery rights process. Those players are in the discovery rights now too as well. Infamously, last year, Charlotte owned the rights to Marco Royce. Royce didn't want to play there, so Royce had to go ahead, or Charlotte had to go ahead and pay a pretty big lump sum for Royce's rights to go ahead and sign with the Galaxy, right? So this is a situation where I actually think it's a little weird because just now, about an hour ago, I had a tweet saying that San Diego actually had 7 spots. Normally, a team can only have 5. So for San Diego to think we're just going to get this guy off of our discovery list with 7 spots and not try to get a lump sum of cash or something for him is really fishy to me, to be honest. So either 1, San Diego made a big mistake. 2, either somebody in KDB's team said, we're not going to go to San Diego no matter what. We're only going to go to this one team no matter what. And then on top of that, if a player gets off a discovery rights list, and I'm assuming everybody knew what day KDB got off of San Diego's list, because I'm assuming that's a pretty big name that everybody wants to put in a bid for.
Yeah.
If 2 teams do it on the same day, it actually, the discovery rights for that player go to the team that had the least amount of points per game. So Miami has been the best team all season, meaning no other team placed a bid for him, which I highly, highly doubt. Or MLS, Inter Miami, KDB know something that we don't. Or there's real interest there.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, the way this discovery rights is working for KDB is actually really, really weird, because normally, a team has to pay a lot for a player of this caliber's rights.
Correct.
So it's just eye-opening that either San Diego made a really big mishap, which I highly doubt with 2 extra slots.
Yeah.
Or KDB to Inter Miami is a serious thing on the table.
So now, I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, because if I'm not mistaken, Miami has already used up other DP spots, right? So technically speaking, they would have to buy down somebody, say like a Jordi Alba or Busquets or however many or whoever they want in order to make this happen, correct?
Correct. So Busquets is impossible. Messi is impossible. So the only one that really leaves is Jordi Alba. And it was rumored, including myself, me, Tom Bogert, I think Alex Winley had something on this, that Jordi Alba this year was going to be possibly a designated player. Now, he was a TAM player before, and true DP and TAM level DP is completely different, right?
Yeah.
We know that Miami has somewhere around 3 million in GAM right now. And I'm assuming if they are going to make a push for De Bruyne, they can move some assets around and get some more GAM. Personally, this is what I think. So it's not out of the realm that right now, if Kevin De Bruyne wanted to go to Miami, they can do it with the rules and with 3DPs. Because you could probably get rid of Calendar for maybe about 300 to 400K GAM.
Yeah.
You could probably get rid of Julian Gressel for maybe 50, 100K GAM. You know, there's probably guys like Kromaski. If you really needed to move him, you could move him. And also maybe David Ruiz, you know, maybe like a San Jose or some other second tier team would want to take a crack at him for 200K. So I think Miami could have enough GAM to buy down Jordi Alba. Now, we will never know how much Jordi Alba is making until the salaries get released, and that's in the middle of the season. But I'm assuming Jordi Alba isn't such a big of a jump to like Busquets level DP, because if that's the case, that is a really bad deal, you know, Tam high level DP, which I don't see a deal like that being backloaded personally. So I'm thinking he's the one that they're gonna have to buy down. But what's weird is Mascherano said when Neymar was linked to Chicago and everybody was trying to link Neymar to Inter Miami, he said it was impossible. Now, is this Mascherano being new to the league and not knowing all the mechanisms? Or was this him just saying, you know, Neymar doesn't want to be here, right? Or we don't want Neymar. So that is up to interpretation. And personally, with what I found out today about Kevin De Bruyne and discovery rights and everything like this, I think it has real legs, to be honest. And I think maybe this is something that we see them moving away from Messi and friends. Maybe this is a move from that for them for the future, or maybe they're using this as a ploy to re-sign Messi, right? So it's interesting to see, but definitely there's some real legs. And hey, did you guys know there was a special discovery rights player that every team can sign? Every single team can sign a special discovery player under the age of 27, but they can only do it once. That's a brand new rule that I found out today that I don't think anybody knows.
So I kind of want to compare something really quick, and I may be comparing apples to oranges here. Okay. So Columbus, right? When we wanted to have Cucho, Lucas, Rossi, and pretty much that three, right? And now we have Messi, Suarez, Busquets, and Alba. Where is, I guess, I'm not trying to say that it's that, you know, it's one favors the other or whatever, but how could Columbus kind of be in the same boat with Miami, where we could have kept Lucas Zelarayan and not have him go to Saudi Arabia, to where we could also still have Christian Ramirez and the four of those guys, as well as Miami has their four guys, if that makes sense.
Yeah, look, you know those like peanut butter balls that are very famous in Ohio that are dipped in chocolate? I think they're called Buckeyes. They're pretty good.
Yeah, definitely.
You guys have those, which are delicious. All right, delicious. You guys have Ohio State national champs. Great. But I hate to say this, I really do. Miami is a different city than Columbus, and I love Columbus. Don't get me wrong, my brother-in-law's from Columbus, but there's possibility that players take a pay cut to live in the Latin hub of the world, right? And unfortunately,
I get why they do it.
I think this is why they're able to have Jordi Alba and Suarez on TAM deals. I hate to say it, Cucho Hernandez wanted the most money possible. Lucas Zelarayan wanted the most money possible. Ohio's a beautiful state, and Columbus is a beautiful city. The only city with 2 soccer-specific stadiums for their MLS team and MLS Next Pro team. That's something that's y'all should be very proud of. But unfortunately, Miami's 8s are every world's 10s. All right. It's different juju out there. And maybe you're at your house, you walk out to the beach, 5-minute walk, and you say, I'll take a pay cut to play here, no problem.
I mean, I get why they, top stars choose like LA. I don't know what it's like in LA, but I know in Florida, there's no tax.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That is a big one.
And so there's no state tax. It's all federal, right? So you're not getting double taxed on your salary. I mean, you might be in a higher bracket, but I get that, right? But what would it take other teams to be able to have like some of these rumors or links, build super teams, in some of these markets? Like we talk about it all the time, the small markets, right? Fortunately Precourt and Garber, the business metrics, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at it, I mean, it's part of the business metrics, right? Like, what can we do? How can we bring in these individuals and still be able to turn a profit, right?
Right.
And not kill our consumers. So, but what would it take for MLS, to have some of these other teams be able to compete with super teams like Inter Miami?
Yeah, look, this is exactly why the discovery rights process is there, because Charlotte got a whole bunch of assets for a player that they wanted to sign, right? This is something that MLS put in play, and to be honest, it's helping the secondary markets or the smaller markets, because San Diego should be getting some sort of package for this, but either they slipped up or De Bruyne I'm going to say it, just flat out said, I want to go to Miami. And then they don't have any bargaining material or any chips to really say, hey, Miami, we own his rights. When Miami could just go back to San Diego and say, dude, look at him. He said himself, he doesn't want to go to San Diego. He only wants to go for the Herons. I mean, who doesn't want to play for the Flamingos personally, right?
Yeah, I've raised my hand too.
But that's a situation where I think this is really weird. I think San Diego 100%. If Miami signs De Bruyne, San Diego should be getting at least 400,000 in GAM, especially because the Miami's in the Club World Cup. They have GAM to throw around. So
yeah,
either excuse me, the GM for San Diego is escaping my mind, but this is going to be his first stain on his career, in my opinion.
Really quick, Favi, before I let you go, two quick questions for you. Dinner guys back to Columbus, which we're about to talk about here next. Good move, bad move? What's your general consensus?
Yeah, look, I like the move. I think it's a great move. The Nordecke is about to see a lot of penalty kicks being scored, so I'm excited for you guys. Hey, a penalty kick goal is still a goal. No. But in all seriousness, I like the move. He has one more year left after this one, if I'm not mistaken. So he's at least 2 years left. I think the cash for trade, it was a great option. I think it's probably going to be less than Lucho Acosta, so maybe around 3 million. That's what's rumored around there. If that's true, I like how much they paid for him. I like that he's a proven goal scorer in MLS, and Nancy hasn't skipped a beat all season. You guys are still flying high. So I like it. Probably still need a big boy striker, but he'll come eventually, and maybe in the off season. But you guys are already tied with first place, and you're getting more weapons. I'm all for it.
last one here. A lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people, a lot of fans, I should say. Big one here, Haji Wright. Right? People are saying that he should come to MLS, come to Columbus. Me personally, I don't feel like he's proven enough to be, I would say, at least a quality striker for Columbus, in my opinion. But hypothetically speaking, should Columbus go after Haji Wright?
Personally, I've been a big fan of Columbus's moves within MLS. I
Yeah.
think they've gotten the most out of their guys within MLS. Issa Tall made a big move with Gazdag, and I think it's going to go ahead and work out. That's kind of the blueprint of Columbus. Get guys that are maybe not performing to their best abilities, and then Nancy takes them under their wing. They already know the league. They already know how Columbus plays, and then they excel, right? Personally, you're going to bring in Haji Wright. Probably not going to be the cheapest transfer.
Yeah.
I would rather go for a guy within the league that's younger, and see what happens. But you guys have one of the best young players in the league, and he's scoring goals. So as of right now, I don't think it's time to panic. If you can get a Haji Wright for not the craziest deal when Russell Rowe is on his way out, sure, go ahead. But I don't think that's an upgrade. I think that's fairly similar, to be honest.
I really want you to emphasize the panic, right? Don't panic, because that's what everybody's doing, and it's driving me up a wall. So,
well, Haji Wright is the fifth or sixth starting striker for USA, right?
Yeah.
Seventh, maybe.
At
Russell
most.
Rowe is what, fifth, fourth for Canada?
Yeah.
Who's the better team right now?
Oh, definitely the neighbors to the north.
Yeah.
So what's the panic about?
The panic. I'm pretty sure I'm going to give you some advice. Do not go down the hashtag Crew 96 rabbit hole. If you do, you're going to see the panic. Okay, that is everybody's number one priority because we let go of Cucho Hernandez. That has been everybody's.
Yeah.
We're still undefeated, right? We're still scoring. Jason Russell scoring goals, but it's not good enough to this fan base. I'm telling you that right now. Me personally, I'm all for it. We're still doing good. We're number one in the East right now.
Right.
I think we're doing great. But it's just like I want that shiny Rolls Royce, and everybody's going to go after that shiny Rolls Royce, but they can't touch it because it's only going to go somewhere that who wants it, right? And everybody wants this and wants that, but no, I'm not. The seller's not gonna sell it. That's what it is, pretty much. And you'll see that if you go down that rabbit hole. So please do not go down that rabbit hole. Spare yourself,
guys. Columbus fans, it could be a lot worse. Suarez hasn't scored in a run of play in 7 games.
That's actually kind of wild compared to last year. Like
what?
Pretty crazy.
Luanga, I don't think has a goal all season.
No, not in
go
league play.
Get Luanga.
Oh my gosh.
Lower.com
don't give him any ideas.
Go get Buanga. I don't know.
If they turned around and said Columbus signed Denny Buanga, Lower.com would not have a roof. Historical Crew Stadium would be burnt down. I think this whole city would burn.
But
look, let me tell you this. I understand you guys are the home of the USMNT, but don't overrate Haji Wright. I mean, he looks like Shy, soccer version of Shy, if there's any NBA fans out here. Kind of looks like Shy Gilchrist Alexander, but does he play like him? I don't know.
I do got one question, though, regarding the KDB, right? And Connor brought it up, sort of. With Miami having the discovery rights, right? Wouldn't it make sense, though, for KDB to go to New York City with having that inner office almost kind of with Man City?
So this is where we we didn't even know if Inter Miami had a GM for like 3 months, right? Like, who's doing the discovery list for Miami, right? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, is it Jorge Mas? Is it David Beckham? Like, they're that tapped in? There's some good owners. But is this a play for them to get some sort of more GAM from New York? Like, this is a good move. Having KDB on your discovery rights list, which is something every team should have in MLS, especially since last year he was talking about moving to Saudi, right? And saying, oh, I don't think it's right for my family. If Miami turns this and gets extra GAM from New York City because they own the discovery rights, this might be one of the best intra MLS moves I've ever seen, right? Like, this might be something where Miami, the team that already signed Messi and Jordi Alba and Suarez to TAM deals, running off of highway robbery because they know the mechanisms better than 29 other teams in MLS, which is crazy. And then they turn around and sign Di Maria with that money, right? So it's going to be interesting what happens with KDB. I don't see him going to Saudi. I also don't know if this is something where Miami's like, hey, we have KDB, Messi, sign extra 2 years. Come on, buddy. What are you waiting for? So this can be some bargaining chip that they're ultimately holding in Messi's face. And then maybe they're going to flip him to New York, right? Like you were saying. And that connection's already there. They get 500K GAM, 400K GAM, and they flip that for Di Maria. And they're like, all right, Messi, since you signed 2 extra years with us, we're going to bring you another year friend.
Baby, it's been a real one. You've always brought some great insight to anything that either I'm on, I see you on. It's always a great having you on the show. Where can the lovely listeners find you at?
Honestly, I wish you guys could find me on the beautiful beaches of South Beach, but for now, you can find me at sbisoccer.com where I release a couple of articles from here and there, and then on my Twitter. And then if you're on Threads, feel free to follow me on Threads because we got a little community growing there too. So that'll be fun to see you.
Favian, thank you so much, man.
Beaches of Long Beach.
Yeah, man. Long Beach, the Bay Area.
No, that's the different Bay Area. What are you talking about? That's the reggae Bay Area. I'm from the hyphy Bay Area, the Fizz Face Bay Area. You know what I'm saying?
Favian, thank you so much for joining, man. It's been a pleasure. You're always welcome on again. Just give us a holler.
Pleasure's mine, guys. Take care.
See ya.
I will see you in December for MLS Cup.
Oh
man. As he drops his phone. I know, Derek, you wanted me to bring this up.
Please tell me you got a screenshot of that.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I should have. Damn it. I should have. Did he? It shows he's still here. There you go. Derek, I know you wanted me to bring this up, and I'm about to show it again.
Yeah,
I
this is
really. This is. I'll just do that. There he is. Now he's fully out. This is absolutely wild. Okay. As I bring us back on screen. Interesting move. That now we're trying to kind of transition. I'm going to segue this into the Daniel Gazdag thing. So Miami, obviously, KDB, whatever. But this person right here says, interesting move by Columbus, trying to form a super club to challenge Inter Miami CF for dominance in the Eastern Conference. Love or hate the Herons, Miami has been the catalyst for many changes in MLS. Hashtag Messi. I'm sorry, but I don't think that Columbus and Sean Zawatsky is considered to be forming a super club.
We were the original super club if you're going to go by the results and everything. We had Cucho, we had Lucas, we had what was it? We had Christian Ramirez, I believe, at the same time, right? All
Yep.
three of them. Like, okay, out of a threesome in MLS, we had the top ones. So one, like we've always built like this, or at least not. I shouldn't say always, but like in recent memory, like pretty messy. So like
Yeah.
it's crazy talk to me.
I saw this and I was like, this is a bad take because it's one thing to be to a super club, right? Quote unquote, which is what Miami is, which is what Miami's trying to do, which is what they are doing, right? But it's another thing to be a club that is making moves to not impress everybody else, right? Which is what Columbus is doing
Hmm.
with this Daniel Gazdag move, right? Gerald, me and you were on site firsthand in 2023 when Daniel Gazdag scored twice from the penalty kick from the penalty spot in the 4-1 win for Philadelphia in Nancy's first year. I've seen Gazdag play many times against Columbus when he was with Philly. Even games when Philly was playing somebody else, I've seen him play. He's a proven goal scorer. He scored at least 14 goals in his last 3 seasons and 22 in 2022. So, needless to say, Daniel Gazdag isn't isn't helping Columbus form a super club. Technically, he's an upgrade from an Alex Matan,
Yeah,
right?
honestly,
Am I wrong?
no. He
Don't get me wrong, really
recent.
quick. Don't get me wrong. Alex Matan was good, right?
Hmm.
But I feel like Gazdag has a proven track record and can also still be an asset to Columbus that scores 13 plus goals in a season.
So Gazdag is an upgrade to Matan for for the fact that he's a little more aggressive, right? He's a little more attack minded than Matan is like well balanced. Playing some defense here, in the midfield to being a facilitator and then, taking the shots when nobody else, when everybody else forgets about him, he's right there taking the shot and he's punishing you. So where Gazdag, whether it's a PK, whether it's a set piece outside the box, he's always a threat. And I was talking to somebody earlier, it's almost like having Cucho Christian and Diego now for the simple fact of now you have to decide who how do you defend this three-headed monster, right? Because it's like who which poison do you choose? Do you choose the light sedation with Jason Russell Rowe? Do you choose the twilight sedation with Diego Rossi, or do you choose the heavy sedation with Daniel Gazdag? Like which poison do you choose? So it makes it harder for teams to being able to defend that because then now that's going to take pressure off of Diego's back. It's going to take pressure off of Jason, and it's going to their numbers are about to go up as well. Because, like I said, how do you defend and who do you defend when it comes to having those three coming at you?
Yeah, that
And
makes
it's
sense.
going to be
So,
different too than it took us a while to get to the point of putting Ramirez out there. And I, at least in my opinion, like once they, I don't know, within probably the game in Cleveland against Miami, like I think it's going to be a three-headed monster of us playing all three of them like immediately. So you're going to have all three of them coming at you. I don't think, I don't know who's going to end up being the odd man out, but I mean, it's not going to be some scenario where one of them's going to come off the bench, like in a super sub type capacity. I don't think. I think it's going to be, it's a whole different looking team for even some of the teams that have played us already this year when it comes to what I think we're going to be rolling out here very soon with him.
Really quick off topic. It is currently 1-1 LAFC Inter Miami. Messi just scored.
Of
Go
course he
figure.
did.
Yeah, of course.
When just a quick touch with Daniel Gazdag coming in. When's the last time Columbus has scored a set piece, free kick goal?
Long time.
It is 8:42 on a Wednesday night. You're gonna make me think.
Hey, I'm just saying though, right?
Yeah, no, I get it.
You bring in Gazdag, he's a threat. It could be at the corner of the 18, it could be in front of the 18. Wherever in front of that, it could be the PK, right? He's a consistent goal scorer. He might not get, I think he's got what, 2 or 4 goals this year so far in 7 games. Something like that,
Who, Gazdag?
Yeah.
From what I saw, he has 2 goals.
Like 2 goals and 4 assists or something like that.
Yeah, pretty sure.
So I mean, he's not consistently scoring goals, every game, but he's still the most consistent shot taker. You know what I'm saying? He's the more consistent threat. Right. And now you pair that with him and Jason and Diego. You got to pick your poison.
Mm-hmm.
6 games played, 6 games starred, 498 minutes. He has 2 goals with an 85 passing percentage and 2 assists, according to MLSsoccer.com.
Still good stats.
Oh yeah, and I think like he's going to draw attention to him now, and then it's going to put open either really anybody in the front line. And I think ideally that's what we wanted. We've needed a third person, and I think anybody who's out there acting like this isn't a big enough name or that we need some like super striker and all this stuff, like maybe that will come in the summer. There's certainly a possibility of that. But for the time being, I mean, this is what you want. I mean, this is literally what you've been asking for, more or less. And I think it's just another person which people are already going to know about. I think that's a big difference too between there's some guys on our team that like maybe other players know by name and stuff, but they're not necessarily scared of them like taking a ball and shooting it in a lot of cases, where you're just really worrying about Diego and Russell Rowe, like one of the two being the ones who are going to be the shot takers more. Like we talked about Mo Farsi the other week and how he can get it all the way in there, but he doesn't necessarily seem confident about taking shots and stuff. When I have someone, a third person who is a proven goal scorer or contributor and being able to pass it when he inevitably draws attention to him, I mean, I think that's precisely what you want in our system. So, I mean, up until the summer when, maybe they bring in somebody else that is a bigger name, and then, who knows who the odd man out is there. But I think this is, this is going to make a team that's already great even better at this point.
This is a stepping stone.
Go ahead, Ty.
This is a stepping stone to potentially getting back to MLS Cup.
Yeah, I would say so.
Bless you.
Thanks. So moving on, guys, as I try and get us back to the regular screen. Hey, there we go. Moving on, we have. Oh, I added that twice. We have the recap this past weekend. Montreal came to town. Columbus wins 2-1. Second half wasn't pretty at all.
No.
But we get a win. We're still undefeated. Or sorry, unbeaten in MLS play. How are we feeling? Especially after a very ugly 2-1 win over Montreal.
It could have been easily could have been, 3-0, 4-0 going into halftime. And at that point, like Cheva said, it could, you get one more goal and you break their morale, right? So it could have easily been, 3-4-0 going into halftime. Honestly, it could have been, 3-1 with Caden Clark's goal that got called offside, which he was offside. That one getting called back. So I mean, it's showing the grittiness of the team when it seems like things are starting to crumble. The Crew kept their foot on the gas, honestly, if you look at it, right? Didn't really make too many like for like subs to make it look like Nazi was parking the bus. He brought in some pieces to like revitalize, right? Taha got out there. Cesar was out there. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
I think
But I
it was
mean,
another one we didn't really use a whole lot of subs again. I mean, maybe a few, but like, certainly not to the full extent, which I don't know if Nazi's ever done, to be honest.
yeah,
I honestly don't know. I think he made 2 subs that
yeah,
game, right?
he made 2 subs, but it didn't seem like it was to park the bus to defend that 2-1,
Mm-hmm.
right? Taha was, like I said, Taha got out there. He's looking like the star that I know I've seen, coming up through Crew 2 and coming up through the academy. Like he was out there putting up, showing out there in the midfield, and drew a couple fouls, I can't remember who he got on a yellow, but he got somebody to get a yellow.
Who did? Who did?
Taha. Taha was able to draw it might have been on Piet.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
So he's starting to prove himself there. It just comes with consistent play, but man, that second half, if VAR wasn't there, we would have been screwed.
Yeah, we would have lost.
Yeah.
100%. Derek, what were your thoughts on the game?
The one person who stood out to me, who I've been, I would say, pretty negative on the season so far, especially when Jerald and I were texting about that LAFC game in particular, was AZ. I've been relatively negative on him, and I felt like he scored the goal, which is great. He prior to that looked like he was running he was everywhere, like both. It felt like more so at the time I was saying it was in a negative way, but and after getting the entire game kind of encapsulation, I feel like he really could kind of fill that void that Matan had, where at least for me I felt like every time Matan was in the game he was everywhere, like the Energizer Bunny, like running around literally everywhere, which can be good for us as long as him, or him at the time, now AZ, does what Nancy's asked him to do, but also very disruptive for the other team when there's just a guy right. He's just constantly everywhere, and I feel like throughout that game, and especially like when it was over, thinking back on it, I gained a lot of respect for his gameplay and stuff, and what he is doing, what he kind of contributes to the team out there. I with the new shuffle, he might be one of the odd men out in terms of like sometimes starting games. It might have to come off a bench. Maybe more often than not. I'm not really sure. We haven't really gotten into that part of it, but his play in particular, I thought was really good in the first half, just watching it. I mean, second half, like we said, it was kind of a bit of just a mess, all things considered. But yeah, I mean, getting out of there with a win, him scoring. And again, I think we talked at the beginning of the season, like this feels like a team that you're going to have one or two like lead scorers, the ones that we assume, maybe now a third, but you're going to have a lot of contributions from other people on this team that you would maybe not week in or week out like think are going to be the ones to do it. And that in and of itself, and seeing how everyone's played well together, and like shout out to Chambos when he got to contribute and stuff too. Like I think these younger guys, or these guys that weren't like stalwarts on the team last year, are doing a great job of fitting in week to week. If everybody's working as one cohesive unit and not one person stands out but we win, fantastic. If we win, or even if we lost, like the fact that we're seeing some of these other guys stand out in specific games, or at least in this case AZ, for what I was seeing at the game, I love it. I mean, this is the development that you want in Nancy's system, with guys that aren't the 2 or 3 big names that everybody on the street corner is going to know about if you ask them randomly.
You want to know who else is an energizer bunny?
Who?
Steven Moreira.
Oh, love Steven Moreira. Like he
put the defender on a Maytag spin cycle, to lead to Jason's goal. Like he turned around and set up Laundry's time for the spin cycle, and he hit him with that spin and it wasn't even a full spin, it was a half spin to find Jason right there on his front foot, and just was able to. I think Jason's foot worked for Nassau that night, because that shot just turned around and looked like a space shuttle getting launched at Kennedy Space Station. I know your mom's happy about Steven Moreira.
That's why I took my headphones off. I was waiting for her to be like, "My man." See,
no, but he was everywhere, and the fact that the broadcast even pointed it out, like your captain, the right center back, is up here in the midfield, but it just shows how the collective works, how Farsi drops back to cover for Moreira, and how Moreira was full steam ahead, just going to the box. Like, I'm gonna take it here. You're either gonna stop me or I'm scoring. And making plays, passes, and just that pass to Jason was beautiful. And it just, the whole collective, everybody thought that the production was gonna dip.
Yeah.
Goal scoring, it's not where it was at the beginning of last season, but the production level, it still has us sitting on top of the East.
Yeah.
We're above, Inter Miami.
Yeah.
And one thing that Gazdog does bring to Columbus is he's been a pain in our ass and FC Cincinnati's ass too.
Not mad about that. Not mad about that at all.
It's one of those things with him coming to Columbus. It's he's a pain in the ass. He's our pain in the ass now, right? Right. So it's kind of like, man, I hate that guy. He's a pain in the ass, but he's our pain in the ass. So we like him a lot.
Yep.
So if John Tolkien came?
Huh?
If John Tolkien came to Columbus?
I am leaving every single media availability, locker room availability if he's there. I still don't like the guy. Nazi continues to adapt, though, right, and get results, especially when they're not pretty. The New England game, not pretty at all. Chicago, definitely not pretty at all. Who else? San Diego, not pretty. Every game has not been pretty this year. I
New
don't think
York
we've.
City.
I don't think we've ever had. Have we played New York City? Did we?
Yeah,
They
that was the
can't.
one with
Yeah,
0-0.
that was the one where we should have won at least like 3 or 4 nothing. Like Gerald's outrageous predictions that he always
One
does.
of these times.
Every game has not been pretty so far, but yet he still continues and adapt to get results. What does that say about his coaching style that we've seen over the years for him to remain consistent, right? Because if I'm not mistaken, I think I can't remember how many games we lost the first year. I don't think we've lost more than 20 games with Wilfred Nancy at the helm.
No, we have not lost more than 20. But I'll just leave this stat here, and it was brought out by MLS Communications. And you want to talk about, adapting and being consistent as a coach. With his win on Saturday in his 75th match in MLS, he's now tied fourth amongst coaches with the highest win percentage with 66%. And it is Berhalter's one of the coaches. Let me get the list.
Bruce Arena.
Bruce Arena, I believe he.
Not Caleb Porter.
No.
Mm,
No. No.
and the
We
first
we were
seven-
we were
Bob
draw
Bradley.
we were Draw City, USA.
Oh,
So in his 75th regular season match with his win on Saturday, he ties with Bob Bradley and Bruce Arena. So 3 coaches. So it's Nazi, Bob Bradley, and Bruce Arena with the highest winning percentage in his first 75 games with the club at 66%.
crazy.
I mean, that's that, right? Just showing the consistency with his coaching style. It just it just goes to show that he's not he's a carpenter when it comes to development, right? He's the one that sits there, helps draw up the blueprints, but gives you the tools. Like, he'll show you how to use the tools, he'll give you the tools, but then you're gonna have to go out there and do the work, right? So,
And I think it shows how strong a system is too. I mean, you've got dudes from Crew 2 or, Cesar even coming not even barely with Crew 2 and quickly adapting. Like, he's got a system in place. And if you buy into it and what he, is kind of telling everybody, their position is and what they need to do overall, I think, you at this point, I mean, there's been very few people that haven't been successful, and those don't typically last too long with, whether it be playing time or starting even, or even on the team, really. I think he is very dialed into who's bought in and who is going to take longer. Sometimes, obviously, guys can come in and be very quick to adapt. And I think that his ability to spot that talent, and even thinking like, at this point, I don't know that we should question any. I don't, I wouldn't necessarily say like the front office, because I know they work hand in hand, but still there's, mechanisms that go into that. But at least with who he's putting out as a starting lineup, which I've been certainly a person who sometimes you see it and you're like, what are we doing here? But then everybody comes out and plays really good. So I think in a lot of cases, he's earned to the point of like the fandom being like, oh, just whoever he's putting out there, I shouldn't really question at this point, because I've got faith that they all know what they're doing. And unless they have like an uncharacteristically bad game, we should be able to put up a fight to the point of at minimum a tie, and and I think that's reasonably our expectations at this point, at least for us three.
Hey, it's Nazi's party. I'm just here to write about it.
Bingo.
Is that a Goosebumps style script?
Okay, so I was
thinking that.
Okay, so guys, I'm just here messing with the media assets, right? Or the style. And I saw that and I was like, Creepstar, I wonder what that looks like. And I looked at it and I said, yes,
Goosebumps.
that's literally that's what we're using for the rest of the time. Okay. That's exactly what we're doing for the rest of the time. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know who this person is, but I'm so happy that we follow each other because this person's been giving me shit just for the fun of it, and I'm here for it. Who in the starting lineup do you think could milk a cow the most
passionately? You got to read his handle too.
Yeah, I know. It's MLS. It's MLS Sicko Tick Cow.
Incredible work by whoever you are. I'll go first. Oh, okay. Starting lineup. Hold on. I was gonna say like a funny joke, and then I didn't realize this is starting. I was gonna say like crew cat or something just to be like funny about it. Starting lineup.
Hang on. Should we pull up the starting lineup from the last game?
No.
No. Let's pull up the start. Oh crap. Let's pull up the starting lineup from the last game, right?
Seems like maybe they grew up on a farm at one point and might have some experience for all we know.
Yeah. So we have in goal Patrick Schulte. We have starting left to right Malde Amundsen, Sean Zawatsky, Yevon Sperko, Steven Herrera, Mo Farsi, midfielder Max Arfson, AZ, Dylan Chambeau, and then Jason and Diego up front. So who out of this 11 do we think of milk a cow passionately, the most passionately?
Oh,
I'm thinking Max Arfson. He could play a lot of positions. He could do a lot of different things. I wouldn't question him.
Manuel says Sherberko. Also says Zawatsky.
I could see Zawatsky would be from northeastern Ohio.
There you go. That I come from northwestern Ohio, and I can promise you that it's all farmland. So I believe northeastern is primarily that, or at least a pocket of it. So depending on where
he's from, Olmsted Falls.
Oh, Sean,
yeah.
It's like several I think
Akron,
yeah.
Okay.
Akron or Canton, one of the two.
Patrick, he uses his hands more. Yeah, Patrick, I can see that.
Soft hands. Well, then you got to go Patrick because he's wearing gloves all the time. So like, they're he's got some padding. And
who the hell is this?
My friend wants soft hands.
Hey, this ain't the Mighty Ducks. Soft hands.
I just love how MLS Sicko Tick Cow found us and is now like in.
They follow me on Twitter. I don't know who it is, but they follow me on Twitter. I would have to go. Oh man, I don't know. I'd have to go with Dylan. Dylan is a very soft-spoken person.
Oh so, yeah, you guys would know more about that because you've interacted with them, in a media level. Okay.
Yeah. So Dylan. So I feel like Dylan would be the one. Yeah, Olmsted Falls is by so Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
I feel like Dylan would be your best bet, Tit Cow. That's
amazing.
God.
Love it.
That's the highlight of the show right there. Jesus Christ.
Hey, that needs to be on our Opus clip.
I would definitely get that.
Hey, real quick before we move on from Montreal, I'm looking through this and everything, right? And looking at previous like series records, between the two teams. And it's still funny that where'd it goes? All-time series leaders. For Montreal, it's wins, Evan Bush. Losses, Evan Bush. Shutouts, Evan Bush. Saves, Evan Bush. Goals allowed, Evan Bush. All for Montreal. And it's just like he's got the, for the all-time series match highs, he has 9 saves against Columbus.
Yep.
Wow.
And Clark and Steve Clark and Eloy Room have 8 against Montreal. So I mean, it's just pretty funny to see still, nobody in Montreal keeper, has outdone Evan Bush when it comes to playing against the Columbus Crew.
And now he's like our super veteran keeper, borderline coach, goalkeeper coach, or
He's the Optimus Prime for keepers. Oh man, but that whole tick count thing, that
was great. But gentlemen, for the first time in MLS, the Columbus Crew play St. Louis City SC
on Sunday, right?
on Sunday at
Soccer
7 o'clock.
Sunday.
At 7 o'clock.
I literally, me and Jerald talked about it last week, and then I completely forgot about it, that it was Sunday. And then I saw it again this morning, and I was like, oh my gosh, we get the spotlight game. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, first time playing St. Louis ever in MLS play. I don't know what to expect. There's no record of anything. The only thing that I could think of, which was 2 years ago, was the Leagues Cup game that we played against them that started at close to midnight because of the rain.
Oh man, I totally forgot that was against them. That was brutal.
They gave us buffalo wings during that match, so boneless buffalo wings.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh, they did. They did. Yeah, they did. We had and then we had chicken tenders too. And and chicken tenders.
I was holed up at before it was Condado's, the Crew pub or whatever, forever. And they got stuck under the bridge where it was like flooding.
Yeah.
To get the heck out. I didn't even stay for the game. I was like, I can't stay this late. This is crazy.
Yep. After the game, Wilfred Nazi walked into the press room and was like, good morning. We're like, good morning, coach.
Yeah, like I got work tomorrow.
So I guess the biggest question is, can Columbus keep my word fit English? Jesus Christ. Can the Crew control the tempo on the road? Can we keep up our style of play on the road against, I would say, what's a struggling St. Louis side?
Yeah, where are they at in the table?
I don't know. Let's figure it out.
They do have one of the top defenses, though, in defensive stat wise, I believe, right now.
St. Louis currently is 11th.
Okay, so the defense might not be that good, but it is, like Manuel says, they do have a very good, organization on defense. Last time we played, St. Louis City, Bradley Carnell was the coach, right?
Yeah.
He's no longer there. Now this is a game that sort of counts, but it doesn't count with St. Louis being in the West. If anybody knows that, a lot of fans look at Western Conference teams like, oh, it doesn't count for us, but it does count, point wise. you know, what was it? 2 years ago is when they had the Black Magic going on in their stadium
Yeah,
where
the inaugural season, 23.
Yeah, they were on fire.
that was some black magic for
That was wild.
own
It's
goals and all that. So
They haven't really lived
um,
up to that recently, though.
No, it was just that. It was just that 1 year
Yeah,
where
it
it
was
was
like
like,
a mirage almost of what we thought they
yeah.
were going to be versus where they're at now. Yeah.
I remember the first time we played St. Louis, we're going with the probability of 15, 20 people on stage, and it passed my bedtime. They did. They did. I remember that.
They get rid of Purina as a sponsor, they might be something.
I think and obviously Nagby is still day to day, according to what for Nazi. So I probably do not think he will play this weekend.
He did practice with first team.
He did,
but
but
still listed as day to day.
Yeah, but Camacho has also practiced with a full team from what I've seen, and he's still out. So and that's one thing I do commend Nazi for is not rushing players back, right? I do think we still kind of see a lineup like the one we saw against Montreal. I can pretty much say Gazdag is not going to be available for this match.
I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I know. And probably maybe a 50-50 for Miami next weekend, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Looking at the recent form for St. Louis, right? As I scroll down the Supporter Shield standings, St. Louis has lost their last 3 games by being outscored 4-0.
Wow.
A 2-0 loss at Kansas City, a 1-0 loss versus Austin, a 1-0 loss at Seattle. This is weird. So 2-0 loss recently against Kansas City, 1-0 loss against Austin, 1-0 loss against Philly, a 1-0 win against Seattle, a 3-0 win against the Galaxy, and then a 0-0 draw against San Diego and Colorado.
So they're all over the place.
Correct. So they've lost their last 3. They're coming in. They're at home playing against an undefeated Columbus Crew team. What is it going to take for Columbus to slip up and lose this game? What would need to happen?
St. Louis need to start fouling like they did, DC United did.
Ugh, yeah.
Take our play. They would honestly need to take our players out. Because I just think the way that Jalil Anibaba, said on the broadcast, breaking down how the Columbus Crew, how the Columbus Crew, plays other teams is they invite that press, right? They invite it, and then they are able to see those small channels and break your press by that. And Nancy has said it over and over. We could have 50 passes, we could have 2 passes, right? So it all depends on how everything that is being dictated with with the ball control. So the only way for St. Louis really to stop Columbus is become the Bash Brothers and just start taking our players out. I hate to say that because MLS is not going to enforce the persistent infringement law that they put into the rules to protect players from being persistently, fouled. I mean, hell, Darlington has, sustained 14 penalties this year already in 7 games. So until MLS could take that serious, I believe the only way to stop Columbus is for teams just to try to take out everybody.
Yeah, I think one word to describe how the game can go St. Louis's way is shenanigans. Like, like Manuel said, penalty. Like, just like Jerald said, like just taking our guys out. Like and it's not like it's unheard of for teams to do that. So I mean, as much as we don't, none of us want to see that until, like Gerald said, until they enforce it. Like, what is really stopping teams from doing it, especially if you're down 1-0 early or something like that, like, or even late, like just start clobbering us and just see if you can get away with it. I mean, eventually it's going to flip around to a benefit for your team. We've seen it time and time again.
Mano says thoughts on a Caesar, Moreira, and Chaberco back line.
But love it.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like Ruvalcaba. He's definitely finding
Young.
footing very quickly
Mm-hmm.
within the system.
He's bought in.
Yeah, as everybody should be, honestly. I guess the last thing here is just predictions for the match on Sunday.
I'm gonna go 2-0 us.
Yeah.
Who's gonna score? I'm gonna say Jason Russell Rose scores. Yes, Jason Russell Rose scores, and I think Chambos is gonna score.
Hey, my guy Dylan.
I've been coming around on him.
Gerald?
3-0. Yevon. I'm gonna keep
It's happening
banging
one
that.
of these weekends. That's happening for sure.
I'm gonna keep banging that drum. Yevon is gonna get a goal. I think Mo Farsi gets a goal.
Oh, now we're talking.
And if he starts, I think Cesar gets a goal too.
Will he be listed as a potential goal scorer in any of the sports books?
You really trying to challenge me right now?
Ruvalcaba.
I'm just saying, when we were talking about it in the past, I feel like the sports books have been so behind on like their odds and our team and everything like that I wonder if he's even listed. I would love it. I mean, if he's listed, I would throw some. You got a few dollars in the couch cushions. It might be worth it.
If he doesn't start, then I see. If he doesn't start, then I see Max getting the goal. Of course, I'm gonna rock with Jason anytime, but Jason Diego.
Cesar Ruvalcaba on FanDuel is listed at plus 3,900 to be the first goal scorer.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
Be the first goal scorer.
Plus 1,800 for any time.
Yeah, I mean, if we can get some corners, how many corners were there? Weren't really that many corners this past game, were there?
No.
I feel like we haven't had that many this season at all, really, for the most part.
7, I think there was. 6
Here's
or 7.
one. Here's one for you. Yevon for anytime goal scorer. Plus 2,600.
What's that on?
FanDuel.
We had 5 corners in the game against Montreal.
And we only allowed 1 shot on goal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, that as sloppy as that game was looking, it felt like our performance overall was really good versus like where it could have gone, obviously with the offsides and stuff.
No, Connor. Don't fall into the trap. Ask Gerald.
Yeah, don't do it.
I have not put a parlay ticket in 2 weeks.
That's really impressive, actually.
That is
I feel like
impressive.
that is primarily what I do when I know I'm not going to win.
Manuel says AZ scoring versus his last club. He gives a 1-0 production. Yeah.
Wait, I didn't even think of that.
Yep.
Ooh, now we're talking.
Yep.
A bit of a revenge game. Okay.
I'm
Look
probably
at
gonna
me now.
go. I'm gonna go 2-0 Columbus on this one. I'm gonna go Rossi Brace
Ooh.
Another one.
on this one. Yeah, another one. Yep. Thanks, DJ Khaled. I'm gonna go Rossi Brace on that one, and I think we'll keep our undefeated streak alive.
Yeah.
If AZ scores, does he celebrate?
Yep.
Yes.
Did he not celebrate the last one?
Yeah,
Or is
he
it just
did.
because he's playing in St. Louis.
Maybe probably because he's playing in St. Louis.
Oh, I gotcha. I was like, now that I was thinking about it, I was like, I don't remember what sometimes they have like a whole thing, and other times they just
Yeah.
kind of celebrate and move on. I couldn't remember. He must have just moved on because I don't remember anything memorable about it, but I forgot that he played for them and we got him from him. That leads to some intrigue for sure.
Hey, if Diego gets a brace this Sunday, he'll move up into fourth place with because right now with his brace against DC, he registered his 9th career game with 2 or more goals, and it started with the black and gold, tied for 5th most amongst active MLS players.
Wow.
So he gets a brace on Sunday, he moves up to 4th. With having them with the game with 2 or more goals.
My only thought is I feel like he is someone who is going to not save it by any means, because I don't think anybody's going to be playing not 100% going for it. But I feel like the universe would have him doing that versus Miami instead of St. Louis.
Yeah.
Which would be incredible, because like if one of our guys could outshine a Messi scenario when they're going to broadcast this thing like it's the greatest thing ever, that would be just.
Does Patrick get a goalie goal?
No.
This season? Maybe.
Against St. Louis?
No way.
I don't know. Everyone was hyping up their defense, so I'm going to say no.
Do you let him take a PK?
No. That's the most. This isn't FIFA. This isn't FC 25.
Yeah, what scenario occurred? Well, I don't know a scenario in which you would do that unless it's like whoever the worst team is in the league. I don't know offhand, but like whoever the worst team is in a meaningless game in the middle of the summer, maybe. I don't think Nancy actually would ever do that, but I would love to see that for sure. I would go nuts. You got to do it at home if they're going to do it, though.
The only way
give us the opportunity to go crazy for it.
The only way that Patrick would ever score a penalty kick goal is if we're in a cup match and in the middle of the League's Cup and it goes all the way down to keepers, which my mother can attest. Anytime I see a penalty kick shootout, I want it to go to keepers.
Oh.
I want it to go to keepers. I love the intensity. I love the dramatics.
It gives me anxiety. I mean, I love it too, but man, the anxiety level ramps up to a point where I'm like, I don't know if I can handle this with our team. If it's someone else's team, I ain't got no problem. I'll watch it all day long.
See?
Hey, so Patrick is moving up in the record book. So he's tied with Eloy Room with for 3rd place with 36 wins.
Love it.
He wins on Sunday. He will tie Steve Clark with 37 wins.
Wow. That's really impressive, actually.
Tie for 2nd with Steve Clark with 37 wins. The keeper with the most wins is Hessmer with 59.
Yep.
So, Patrick's climbing. Patrick has a chance to, surpass Will Hessmer for the most wins by a keeper
this season.
Yeah. and he's only doing it. He only Will Hesmer did it in 130 matches. Schulte's at 63.
But roughly half the amount of time. Holy cow.
Miami just tied it on aggregate 2-2.
How much time's left?
It's in the 61st minute, but there was a lot of pushing and shoving and throwing down of players.
Oh,
Suarez or Busquets? Nobody got bit, did they?
Busquets isn't playing.
Okay. So nobody didn't get bit.
Also, I didn't bring it up earlier, but I did not even realize that Suarez is not on a DP contract.
Yeah, he's a TAM player. Yeah.
It's crazy. What did they give him to get him to that? Like we were talking about the golf course, and it must be like a season pass to Space Miami or something, like one of the nightclubs. There has to be some kind of scenario.
Yeah. I can't remember what the price was, but it was relatively decent for a TAM contract. This is going to VAR though, by the way. Miami's goal is going to VAR. There was a fly on Toronto's chin though. That was funny. Fellas, any final thoughts?
Well, first off, you'll never get off a Boyko ref in a Hell is Real match.
Because I want that. Dude, yeah, I know. I know.
You want
also
the chaos?
lean forward. You're starting to fade into your green screen. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, no. I want a Sergei Boyko Eastern Conference final between us and Cincinnati.
Why?
I want that to happen. Why? Because I want the dramatics. I want the theatrics. I want I want red cards. That would be
You'll get them, that's for sure.
That will be a true rivalry match. That'll be a true derby match. That's true. I just want to be able to say, hey, I witnessed this happen. I witnessed Hell is Real finish 7v7
in deep hell. That's what it would be.
You know which match he's gonna get.
The Miami one.
Imagine that.
Hey, he was the official. Yeah. But no, my final thought, honestly, congrats to the team for not panicking.
Yeah.
When they could have been, back-to-back draws, when it just seemed like they could have played against Montreal with their head down when Montreal started making that surge, and they pulled up their bootstraps, tightened up their big boy pants, and still kept going to work.
America's hardest working team.
There we go.
Yep.
Derik, final thoughts? No, I mean, to echo what Jerald said, I mean, incredible way to just power through sometimes what was deemed as, I don't know, lackluster results maybe in terms of ties, which is crazy to think because, we didn't lose. But yeah, we are top of the standings. We did it all without having this, third striker DP type scenario. I mean, obviously Nagy, but third DP that everyone has been clamoring for. And now we're getting the reinforcements, which I think is amazing. And hopefully everybody, is excited about it and not let's quell the we need a bigger name and things like that. He hasn't even played yet. We have enough tape on him from Philadelphia in the league, which I actually really like, is that we got someone from the league to fill this void, at least for now. And I hope that everybody is excited for that. And, regardless of, St. Louis, obviously he's not going to be here. Miami, it's in Cleveland. very different scenario than what you typically would see. Like, let's give it a few times or a few games before we all of a sudden are up in arms if he doesn't score right away or something like that. And hopefully that's the case, but it's Crew fandom. We're very passionate about our team and everything, but I'm excited for where we're going and what we have right now. And we'll worry about the summer window when it comes. We've got a while to go before that. So let's just everybody enjoy what we have now and where we're at, because it's probably better than what anyone assumed.
Boys, it's been a real one. Always fun talking Crew and soccer with you. If you haven't already, if you are watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, that little bell. Does us a favor, lets you get notified whenever we go live, post new content, upload videos, etc. You guys can follow us on social media on Instagram at the Wisemen Say Podcast, on YouTube, the Wisemen Say Podcast, on Twitter at Wisemen Pod. You guys can follow Jerald on Twitter
At Jerald_Lucas.
Oh no, Miami scored. It's 3-1 Luis Suarez.
As we were just talking about.
I know, right?
Jinxed it. We jinxed it. No.
Jesus. You guys can follow Derik on Twitter. Oh, wait. Hold on. Wait. Go ahead, Derik. Sorry.
Funky Moses 17 on all socials.
It looks like it got called for offside. But obviously it's gonna go to VAR. You guys can follow me on Twitter at FisherTyler__. You guys can watch us on YouTube, obviously Spotify and Goals TV, or you can listen to wherever you guys get your podcast: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, Overcast, Pocket Cast. And thank you guys for tuning in. Peace out. Have a good week. Stay safe, stay hydrated, stay cool. As always, please, please, please hug your loved ones. Jerald, my friend, as tradition goes, Wisemen say,
only fools rush in.
Peace out, everybody. We will see you next week with St. Louis reactions, Open Cup updates, and more. Go Crew.
Go Crew.
Stay wise, y'all.